There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your podcast host and life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code framework that will enable you to wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. When you're ready for more, head to marcybarker.com and we'll chat about your next goal. All right, let's dive in. All right. Hello, my beautiful people. I am excited to bring you the very first guest in season 5. This is Vanessa Wild, and she not only finished my Accountability Accelerator, but she's also done some work for me that I was like blown away when her and I started working together. So before we dive in, I'm going to read her short bio and then we'll dig into it. Vanessa is a digital marketer and copywriter with over a decade of experience. She specializes in turning the spoken words of coaches and course creators into powerful sales copy that drives conversions. Using clear and effective strategies, she crafts sales pages and emails that resonate with audiences and increase launch success. And I'm so excited to have Vanessa here. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to do this with you.
Yeah, before you guys even dive in, maybe you guys should just go look at my sales page, my mastermind sales page. When Vanessa and I met, we actually met in Boss Moms, and I can't remember who posted first. Maybe you posted or I posted, but I was like, I need you. And I kind of convinced you just to get into my program because I was like, I think I can help you with your goals. And I know you can help me. So maybe we could just work something out. And I was super glad. And one thing that Vanessa said to me was in the nicest way, like, your sales page is like watered down compared to how you are. When I talk to you in person, I see it, I feel it, but on your page, I don't really see it or feel it. And I loved it because I can always use my loving kick in the pants too. So Vanessa, tell me how you got into copywriting and where that started.
Yeah, so I have been, like I said, in the digital, you read for me, been in the digital space for over 10 years. And I never really thought of copywriting because most of my background was like coaching and social media type of coaching and stuff. And had a friend that is a brand and website designer, and she just had me writing stuff for her because I thought it was fun. And so I kept doing that. And she finally said, why don't you get paid for this instead of doing it for free? And so that was kind of like that kick in the pants from her of, oh, maybe I should be going in this direction and doing this more, getting paid for it versus just doing it for free. So it took a little bit of convincing. When she told me the potential with copywriting, it was like, okay, maybe this is what we want to do.
I think that's so interesting where a lot of times we don't pursue something just because we have no idea that it's possible. That has happened to other of my clients too. And I think that that's a really great thing about continuing education and networking and connecting with people is your ideas are just expanded. So when you heard about the Accountability Accelerator or what I was doing, what was your first thoughts? Because you guys, Vanessa's a go-getter just like I am. So yeah, what did you think about me being like, let me be your loving kick in the pants for your goals too?
Well, I needed it. One of the reasons is because as a service provider, I get so caught up in like helping my clients. And so most of my day is spent serving clients and writing for them and supporting them that I'm like, I need someone right now that's just like, you need to actually do your own marketing. You need to go and get whatever your goals are out there versus just focusing on your client stuff. So that was like the biggest thing when you talked to me about it. I was like, yeah, I actually need to do my stuff instead of just helping others all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing I love too, if you guys haven't yet, you guys should also check out Vanessa's website. And I have it here, vanessawildco.com, because your stuff is on point. I was like, okay, this girl practices what she preaches because a lot of business owners come to me and it is kind of that excuse of like, I'm a bookkeeper, but my books aren't up to date. And I'm like, why? Why? Like that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make in business. And I know it makes sense. Like if you're a house cleaner and your house is dirty and you have kids, like that's understandable. But at the same time, practicing what you preach is a big deal. So I really liked looking at your stuff and I was excited to work with you. And let's talk about the assessment that you did at the beginning of the accelerator. So what did you learn from that? Like what was eye-opening about taking an assessment on how accountable you were at the beginning and at the end?
The biggest thing for me, and I think at the beginning, it was very much I sit back, like I'm a go-getter, but I also sit back with my stuff too much because like I do one of two things. It gave me insight of like I sit back too much and don't always run with things because I have so many reasons of why I can't. So too many excuses, like again, getting back into I focus on everyone else. But then there's also the side of me, and throughout working together, it came out even more of when I have an idea, I also run with it too. So it's two weird sides to me, but it was eye-opening to see that when an idea pops in my head, I'm like, okay, let's go and do it. But then if it's too much or it's not easy to execute, I'm like, I don't have time for this. So there's two sides to that opened my eyes a bit. And I think I also tend to look at the big picture versus breaking down the steps, which is what you really worked on with us during that time together, because it's not always like you don't have to go and eat the whole pie right away. It can take some time to get to that end result if your schedule's full.
Yeah. When you work with your clients, do you see some of the same things of like not enough or way too much? Or what's typical for your clients when they come to you and you look at their sales page or their lack of sales page? What are some trends that you notice?
Yeah, so typically it's not enough. We've gone from it's really interesting because with sales pages, we've gone from where it used to be people would like put way too much into their sales page and it was way too long and people just go off the, the page really easily. But a lot of people have pulled back and are starting to make shorter sales pages, which then don't tap into the sales psychology side enough. And they're also having, like we talked about with you, like more of that watered down copy, thinking that they need to spread out and be very broad. We're getting back to that when you really have to be specific. So it's more of they're pulling back way too much on their sales page versus going really deep with it.
Yeah. I find that really interesting too. I was talking to somebody who actually just joined the mastermind, and she was saying how she's scared to be bold because I find it really interesting how people don't like talking about themselves. And I'm like, hold up, spend time with me and you will learn how to brag about yourself and talk about yourself all the time. So when you encounter people who are a little bit scared to put themselves out there or to be bold or to take action, two questions. How do you encourage them to do that? And how have you learned to do that as well?
Yeah. So really find something that's a little like just start slowly. What's one small thing that you can stand behind and you can state that without feeling like you have to hide and run away? You're like, life may be ruined because you stated it. As you like slowly get a little more bold in what you're saying, it then will allow you to be open to say even more. And that's kind of been with me as well, same type of thing. The more I've just worked on saying the things that are a little bold and a little more point of view, I've been able to open up even more. So just start small and get even bolder in what you want to say.
I like that. Hey, my beautiful people. The message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's completely free. All you got to do is take this quick action. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. So, in the Accountability Accelerator, I asked you what one of your biggest takeaways was, and you were like, I got back into my marketing. Like, I got back into doing what I needed to do. Have you seen some parallels of what you just said of like starting small and then having a little bit more courage? Like, how have you noticed that your own content has changed?
Yeah. So even with myself, I've been a lot more bold in speaking to who I want to speak to and taking that time for it versus just watering my own self down. Like it's easy to do that myself and not taking the time to actually do my marketing and just doing kind of fluffy to put it out there because I needed something out there at one point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually taking that time to go deep with my own stuff and pull and putting out there what I want to pull in.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite step of the accountability code and what is your least favorite? And you think I could pop quiz you the steps in order?
No. I
I'll say them again for you and for listeners. And I always get a chuckle because you guys, it took me a long time to memorize my own steps of the code. I had to post it on my monitor. It was still there after I published my book. So I'm always curious to see. But the steps of the accountability code are reflection, humility, and planning. Those are the wake up ones. And then we move into show up, which is implementing, commitment, and feedback. So yeah, which one was your least favorite? Which one is your favorite?
so I'm starting to like it more and more, but feedback has always been something that has been hard for me.
Mm.
I am a sensitive soul, which I've been building up more and more and always like took it really harsh. And so feedback was more of a put down for me,
Mm.
but that's like a weakness I've been working on to be more of a strength for me. So that's the one that stands out the most of like, ugh, that one's hard, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Um, I really like the planning because that was something that I can sometimes jump over and just like start executing, but I need to slow down and actually plan. And that's when I see better success and better results in what I'm executing.
Yeah, I like that. It's interesting that you say that you're a sensitive soul. I would have never guessed that because of how confident you are. Like, I have always felt like I'm talking with Vanessa, I got to know what I'm saying, because I don't want to waste your time. I kind of get that. But there was a point in the accelerator where we on a group call and so listeners, while Vanessa was in my program, she was also working on my copy. So we did this collaboration and she did my whole sales page and I took it apart in the Google Doc. Not necessarily took it apart, but I changed a lot because I was in my own messaging course and I was like, I just learned this, I learned this. And on the group call, Vanessa had mentioned like, what was your reaction when you saw so many edits to what you did?
It was just surprising to me where I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't like it. Because I usually don't get that many edits when I send stuff over. So it threw me for a loop where
Yeah.
I'm like, hopefully she's okay.
I liked the collaboration to be like, Vanessa made this so good. Now there's a few things that I just barely learned that I'm going to update it with. And I really like that. But when you were surprised by it, I was like, oh, I hope I didn't ruin her expertise. I hope I didn't like change the actual psychological things that should be in my page. But I thought it was really cool to have this finished product that really more clearly shows who I am. But I'm also like, I need a video on the page because how can words replace this? Here I am behind a mic. I don't even post the videos to my podcast. Maybe one day I'll be organized to do that. But yeah, so moving forward too with planning, I know that we talked about you and I are such go-getters that oftentimes we jump into executing and sometimes even skipping reflecting where we're like, I already know. It's already fine. So I remember one of the parts where I challenged you to extend your reflection time. Have you done that? Have you noticed anything or have you been like, no, thanks. I thank you for the feedback, but no, thank you.
No, yes. Well, and even during the program, I went into the program with my outcome. What the goal was, I switched
Hmm.
in because I was rushing too much on that reflection time. And it's been really good for me to get back into that. And one, it's allowed me to focus on my marketing more, which I needed to do. And two, it's been like after we've finished, I've had a lot of reflection time of, okay, where do I want to go from here? What are my next steps? And I haven't been running as quick, but still keeping momentum going within everything.
Yeah, that is great. And you guys can't see the video. I mean, you can't even tell. Vanessa's pregnant. You can't even tell. But she did all of this while juggling three little kids. And you guys remember on the podcast a couple weeks ago, I put a whole list of all the crises that we encountered. Vanessa had a couple on the list. How did you continue despite having that resistance? Because you were one of the most dedicated. You showed up the most at co-working and all of that. So what tips would you give people to work through their resistance even when things really suck?
It's funny because I put a lot of like my resilience and stuff and just like life, like what I've experienced. Just little things that have happened in life. Like I was pregnant with my third, and my husband got a job in a different state and had to move while I was far along in pregnancy, and it was me and two kids and stuff. So there's just little things that have happened in life where I'm like, you just keep going. Like there, you can sit here and you can cry or be frustrated, or you can just keep going and know, hey, this is where I want to go. This is the outcome I desire. So just keep showing up no matter what. And that's just something that I've had to learn through life. My mom always gets, and my dad too, always gets surprised with me because I was the one growing up. And it's so interesting that you mentioned seeing me in that like confident way. I was the one growing up where I was like the mama's girl, always turned to mom with things, always was like mom help me with this. I remember having a meltdown because I didn't get homework done on time, and it was just I was so different. And just taking any of these like hardships that have happened in my life and turning them into, hey, like they're just growing me, like they're helping me out, just like the tree analogy where the wind keeps those roots growing stronger. That's really what has helped me a ton to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I love that. My big promise with the accountability code is that it makes follow through easy and peaceful. Would you say you experience your own version of that? Yes or no, or how?
Yeah, so I would say for me, yes. One aspect of it is, to me, it was really breaking down like what we were working on each week. Because again, going back to I can eat the whole pie at one sitting, and that's not helpful. That's when I get overwhelmed. But if you have a goal, break it down and actually go eat week for week for week, and then know exactly what you want to accomplish during that week. It's less overwhelming, it's less frustrating, and you can continue to have wins each week versus I'm still not done with that goal, or I'm still not done with that project.
Yeah. I really like that. I'm glad that we had time together, and um also that there were more people in the group that got to benefit from your feedback and your expertise. So moving forward, yeah, because when you first came, you're like, okay, I want to get this course out. Can we talk about your idea? Or you're like, no, let's wait. Let's wait until it's done. Anyway, Vanessa had an idea for a course, and I was like, yes, I can help you put that together. Do you think your outcome would have been much different if you stuck to that despite the resistance? Like, what do you think would have happened if you just pushed through instead of listening to the adjustments that you needed to make?
I don't think I would have completed what I wanted, to be honest. Like if I
Mm,
look at the what my goal was and what happened through the weeks, I just think it wasn't, the timing just was not right. And that's something I should have really listened to in the reflection stage and followed the spirit with that. But I just kept trying to like push through it and ignore that and stuff. And so once I went back and reflected on, okay, like what I really want to do is like focus on more one-on-one clients. But that doesn't mean that initial goal, that course is gone. I still have it there. It's just waiting for the time where I reflect and I'm like, okay, this is the time to do it. Let's get it out
yeah.
there.
Yeah. And if you didn't have that goal, we wouldn't have worked together.
It's
So
true.
I like that everything happens for a reason, but also I really value making things happen regardless of the circumstances, on this application I have everybody fill out for the podcast, I ask, what does wake up and show up mean to you? And you said, you can't just sit back and hope magic happens. Realize what you want and go get it. And I'm like, yes, that's what it's all about. So I'm really glad that we got to work together and grateful for your expertise, because I just have learned a lot. And it was fun to talk with you every single week, for 9 weeks in the program. So if you could leave listeners with a tip or advice regarding their own sales copy and their own journey to be accountable, what would you say?
I would really encourage you to trust yourself. We seek too much, like feedback is great, but I think we can sometimes seek too much feedback from what I've noticed from too many people. And instead of going back to the reflection stage and like, okay, which of this feedback matters and what should I apply? And then trusting that you make the right choice, we get overwhelmed and then don't take action. And that's the same thing. Like I see that with marketing and in your sales page, you like overthink it and have all these people give you feedback on it. And then you're like, oh crap, it's not really good. I should go back and change everything. But use the feedback, then go back to reflect and really trust that you're making the right decision, and then use data to give you that feedback as you go forward.
I love that. Data. We didn't talk about data at all, but that's something that you track, which I absolutely love. We are meant to be friends. So I'm really glad that we got time together. So thank you, Vanessa, for all you do and for taking the time to be on my podcast. And hopefully people can learn from your example as well. And they'll come back next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. Thank you for listening, friends. If you got value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop a review or share this with a friend. Let's be real. Let's spread the word, because we all know someone who could use your loving kick in the pants.